Hello, everybody. This is Matthew Brand. Welcome to the Magna Creed podcast. And finally, all these court cases, the major ones, are pretty much over. We've had the Kyle Rittenhouse case. He's been let go, set free. He's innocent of the murder charges, it seems at least, and it's been dismissed with prejudice. So that's him. Then you have the Ahmaud Arbery case, and that was the one I was worried about. A lot of people were bothered by Kyle Rittenhouse. I really wasn't. I'm not saying I thought he would get off. I did feel it was going to lean that way, but I wasn't positive. You never really know how a jury's going to go. And if you feel like you do, you haven't read too many court cases. Because to be completely honest, they are sometimes a coin flip. It just depends on who you get on a jury. But really, I was more worried about the jury in this, the Ahmaud Arbery case, because it was such a skewed jury. And even I think someone told me even the judge commented on the fact that it was a rigged, like it seemed like a rigged jury. But no, they found him guilty. And honestly, it seemed like they came to terms with that verdict faster than they did with the Kyle Rittenhouse one. But the Kyle Rittenhouse, it had a little bit of, I don't want to say leeway, but there was some wiggle room there. It was clearly self-defense, but was the level of self-defense used necessary? Some people argue no. I will argue, what else was he really going to do? Like, was he going to whack him upside the head with the gun? We don't know, and people will just, when you claim you don't know because, oh, well, Rosenbaum's dead, so we'll never know. You're cherry picking and you're beating around the honesty of the matter, right? What else are you going to do? Most people, if you're in a situation, what else can you really do but shoot the dude? You're carrying a long weapon. It's not like he's offering you milk and cookies. He was probably going to take it from him and maybe shoot him. The guy shouldn't have been out. That I blame the justice system more for the Kyle Rittenhouse situation than Kyle Rittenhouse, or even the riots for that matter. Like, they let that go on and then complained about the outcomes. That happens so many times. They let it go on and complain about the outcomes and then claim mostly peaceful after. It's just stupid. People aren't going to just let everything just slide smoothly, right? So when you have those situations, it's bad. But with the Ahmaud Arbery case, I saw those people as guilty. When they said they were performing citizen's arrest, none of that came out to me. And I didn't get deep into the trial, but honestly, even before the trial, I felt like I think I heard, and this could be wrong, right? You can hear all kinds of things, conspiracies pop out of the woodworks. I remember people were talking about, oh, you dropped a hammer, and like, is that really worth chasing it? Let's be honest. Is that worth chasing the guy down with a gun? Trying to be super technical with the law here. That's insane. Right? So who's chasing who in a situation is really all that really needs to be looked at. In the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, he was being chased. In the Ahmaud Arbery situation, Ahmaud Arbery was being chased. Right? So who's the aggressor? They are. Now they say, oh, we're performing citizen's arrest. But basically the case came down to they believe that was made up. They made it up for the trial. And I don't know why there was support for them, but I think some people they're inclined to be on a certain side or the other. But I think with both cases, it was particularly clear. With Kyle Rittenhouse, it seemed that a lot of people were bothered because they felt like if he was black, and even he felt this way, I heard. But if he was black, they would have thrown the book at him a lot faster, or been a little bit more clear to throw the book at him. I think it's more of a money thing, but race could be a part of a factor in it, especially if somebody thinks you don't have money because you're black, right? Because there's an assumption there, right? There's an honest assumption that, oh, you're black, you have darker skin and don't seem Asian, ergo, I'm going to assume you have less money, so we're going to harass you, assume you don't know your rights, assume you're uneducated, assume, all kinds of stuff. There's a different story there. But if you have money, right, OJ, Bill Cosby, all that stuff, a lot of times you have to get off. But I'll supplement that with a stand-up that Chris Rock had, right? There's a stand-up Chris Rock had where he talked about the area he lived in. Now, as I smoke on this, this is one of these Trader Jacks. I got myself, because I'm going to be budgeting for the rest of the year. I don't plan on buying anything else. Rest of year's almost over. I'm going to resist very strongly, but there's a Padilla. I heard Padilla's coming back. I don't know where they came from, but sorry, a little cigar rant. But there was a Chris Rock stand up where he talked about where he lived, and he said there are several other people who live in the same community as him. But there are only, like, I think he said 4 black people lived in his area. He was him, Mary J. Blige, right, a very big singer, Jay-Z, right, one of the biggest rappers of all time, arguably one of the richest rappers of all time. And then he said Eddie Murphy, who was one of the biggest comedians and actors of all time, right, black actors. So those are the 3 black, essentially they're goats of their profession, right, goats, right. Mary J. Blige, goat of R&B. Um, Jay-Z, he's one of the goats of rapping, right? Whether you even enjoy his music or not, you would acknowledge that he is one of the top pinnacle in the rap career, right? In their respective fields, they've hit the pinnacle. Um, Eddie Murphy, he's hit the pinnacle of comedian success. He even had to tone it down, I think, because as he got older, he had to accept the fact that, hey, he's getting older, he has children, he has to be a little bit more family oriented. Dude even tried to go for Oscar, right? He's one of the goats of his profession. And then same thing with Chris Rock, considered one of the goats of his profession when it comes to stand up comedy. Now, when you have all of that, and you see the 4 people in his neighborhood are goats, right? He said, and then the guy who lives next to him is a dentist, not a fancy dentist, not a super rich dentist, just a dentist. The point is, yeah, maybe you have to have money when you get away with something, but it may take a lot less when you're white. And I think that's what a lot of people are getting. They're like the classist thing. It takes a lot less when you're white to get to where you're talking about, right? So, for example, he said the white guy would have to invent teeth if he was black to live in the same neighborhood. That's because he'd have to be one of the goats of dentistry. Now, is that completely true? Probably not. It's exaggerated. Comedy is for exaggeration, but I do believe there's some note there, right? Bill Cosby, people say, "Oh, he got off. He has money." Okay, well, Bill Cosby is one of the goats of his profession. He is, and OJ was one of the goats of his profession, right? I mean, their name only got smeared after the court cases, and that's what those court cases do. And a lot of people, they feel like these things get brought up on black comedians and actors and whatever to simply smear them so they can't leave the business clean. Right? They always find something on it seems like when a black person hits a certain level of success, they always seem to try to find something on them. Right? Look at what happened with Kevin Hart. Look at what happened to all these people. It's not want to say it's sad, but it's trying to try them, right? James Brown, Rick James, right? Goats. They're goats of their profession. So do they get away with it? Yeah, but they're the top pinnacle of what they do. So when you look at a trial with, I think there was some of these court trials where people get away with, how I would say it, like a slap on the wrist for the most egregious crimes, and it just happens to be like a white college student or like a white police officer or something like that. It just seems crazy, but hopefully, if anything, these court trials, I think most people are happy with the outcomes. They're just upset because they feel like they wouldn't get the same treatment. That's all it is, and they don't approve of the behavior. But that's different. Approving of a behavior, and I'm not saying technically legal. It's just legal, right? Kyle Rittenhouse walking around with an AR-15. It's legal. It's not like, oh, it's technically legal. Now his age is technically legal, but then, in my opinion, now you're splitting hairs because okay, and this is my opinion. If he's 17 and he's too young and he's a kid and he can't carry a gun around, then shouldn't be trying him as an adult. If he is old enough to carry one around, then it's legal. So there shouldn't be any controversy, right? They said there's a father, son, or daughter team walking around with AR-15s, providing protection for protesters right now for over the Kyle Rittenhouse case. More power to them. I don't care. Just don't be dumb about it. Like I think they did what was that situation where the guy, he was blocking people from going through with an AK-47, and then they were both military people, and the one dude ended up coming out and shooting the guy because he thought he had an AR or AK-47 at his door. I don't think it's wrong to have AK-47, but you can't be sitting there blocking traffic, right? Telling people where they can go and what they can do, and you shouldn't be involved in that if you have a weapon, because now you're basically involving yourself in something illegal or egregious or something that's going to make people feel uncomfortable in the first place, and you have a weapon, right? And you have a weapon, where it's different if you're just in the area and you have an AK-47. Like there's protesters, they're there. You're walking around carrying your AK-47 and involved in protests by all means, but you're not involved in stopping cars and holding up traffic, telling people where they can and can't go, creating disturbances, stealing, whatever the case may be. Once you're starting to do all that, that's a bit that's a bit rough. Now, if you're going on like providing aid, looking after people, making sure your neighborhood doesn't get too total, if it's a level of intimidation for, like, say, okay, I'm not going to let you do that, but I'm not going to put my gun on you and let you do something crazy, then by all means, right? It's just it's not even a fine line. It's just a big ball of stupid a lot of the times. That's all it is. It's a big ball of stupid. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I want to know. Let me know what your opinions on these cases are. Do you agree with the outcomes? Do you not agree? And if you don't agree, is it because of anything other than what I said? Right, like feeling like other people that had thrown the book, certain people that had the book thrown at them, if they had been in that situation. Whether based because of money, color of their skin, what have you. Right. I will also say that they just try to insert way too many politics into this stuff. Everything is way too political, and hopefully, now that these cases are over, hopefully this can bring people together more than it splits us apart more, right? Because if anything, I will say this: it seems like there's a large disapproval of Biden at the moment. I've not seen, and even when Trump was in office, like he had, yeah, he was. There were a lot of people who really couldn't stand Trump, but he also had a lot of, I would say, supporters, right? A lot of people really liked Trump. When Obama was in office, I don't think he had anywhere this level of hate. Some people didn't like his policies. That's a difference, right? I don't like your policies, but there's a couple. You can think of a couple. I think he purposely toned everything down because, he's first black president. Didn't want to stir the pot too much. It's just that the couple policies he did really have were, a lot of people didn't really like him, and a lot of the things he advocated for, a lot of people didn't like. But Obama, in general, he had a lot of approval. Like, he wasn't just because he was black. The man was charismatic. He was intelligent. He had a lot going for him. Trump, I don't know where. I don't think he made any of this stuff up his particular self, but he seemed like he had some good policies in place. I disagree with a bunch of the stuff he did. I disagreed on the bump stop ban, obviously, but there's a lot of things that people agreed on the policy, even foreign policy. It seemed like he was doing really good on that front. A lot of people just didn't like him because they didn't like him. Where Biden, I think it's kind of both, right? I mean, it seems like elder abuse, him even being there. Like, what was the whole situation that did they think that they had such a bad chance of losing? Like, there was like, okay, this is 50-50, right? But everybody likes Obama, and Biden was with Obama, so we'll stick him there, even though he's senile. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a lot of politics lately, but hey, what can you do? This is America. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Peace.